Captain Midnight.
So Tron Ares came out in October, and it crashed hard at the box office. Really hard. In the wake of that, we saw some headlines like this one from Den of Geek. Jared Leto's star power questioned after Tron Ares flops. Hollywood insiders are reportedly wondering if the Morbius star can still carry a franchise movie. And seeing these pop up in my feed, I kept thinking the same thing. What star power? And when, exactly, has he ever carried a movie franchise? I find the narrative around Jared Leto, and really the entire last decade of his career, absolutely baffling. And that's what I want to talk about. The man they insist is a movie star, despite all evidence to the contrary. Let me know what you think, and if you find yourself watching my videos but haven't subscribed yet, now could be the chance. So let's stick with Tron Ares for a minute. The most recent example of Hollywood trying to will Jared Leto into being a franchise lead through sheer force of will and advertising. Disney apparently spent around $180 to $220 million producing this thing, and it limped to a little over $140 million worldwide. That's a disaster, and I think a really predictable one. When this happened, there were a lot of people saying that if you had a real draw in the lead role, someone audiences genuinely felt excited to see, this would have at least opened higher. And, you know, the movie wasn't that bad. Audiences seemed to like it a lot more than critics. I doubt word of mouth was awful, but goodwill was just so low going into it. I think in large part because of its lead, and it had a really tough time climbing out of that. So would have a better lead like a Chris Evans or something have helped? Sure, but I'd go much farther than that. Tron Ares would have done much better with Garrett Hedlund from Tron Legacy as the lead. I get why Disney wanted to move on from him. Legacy was considered a box office disappointment when it came out, and Hedlund is viewed as a guy who already had a shot or two at movie stardom and under-delivered. But I think the movie is viewed a lot more positively now, and Tron fans obviously would have been more excited to keep following Sam Flynn than this new character. But maybe more importantly, when it comes to being the main character of a blockbuster, how exactly is Hedlund that different than Jared Leto, whose previously headlined blockbuster was a much bigger failure than Tron Legacy ever was? Don't get me wrong, I don't think there's a scenario where Ares is some massive hit. The fact is, Tron has always been a mild underperformer for Disney, even back in 1982, when the first one was kind of viewed as a box office disappointment as well. Now, I don't hold it against that movie much. I mean, have you seen the box office lineup in 82? E.T., The Wrath of Khan, First Blood? It's pretty crazy, and the movie definitely managed to carve out a fan base for itself in spite of that, but it was never huge. Legacy didn't embarrass itself. It did fine, but it ended up making less than like The King's Speech, which I'm sure Disney didn't love. I think there may just be a ceiling on what Tron movies can make, but I do think it would have reached a much higher number without Jared Leto. Now, Leto has a lot of name recognition. Between launching his career as a heartthrob on the cult classic show My So-Called Life, getting recognized as a solid actor in the 90s and early 2000s in movies like Fight Club, American Psycho, and Requiem for a Dream, plus his band 30 Seconds to Mars having some really big hits around that time. It does kind of feel like he's been around forever now. But putting music aside, the only really well-received movie he actually starred as the lead in was Requiem, and that was far from a blockbuster. And I'd honestly argue that he gave maybe the fourth best performance in it. I don't get it. Someone like Giovanni Ribisi had tons of supporting roles in great movies in the 90s and 2000s too. And I don't see anyone trying to have him anchor huge franchise movies in the last 10 years. And, you know, he's a better actor. Maybe it's just Leto's cult leader Jesus looks. I'll get to the Morbius in the room in a bit, but first, I should probably address the two biggest counter-arguments to me here. The first, yes, he did win an Oscar in 2014 for Dallas Buyers Club. I really do not think he deserved this one. The performances from Barkhed Abdi for Captain Phillips and Jonah Hill in Wolf of Wall Street are so much better than he was there, but sure, he did win. But plenty of Oscar winners aren't able to leverage that into huge franchise roles. I get how it could buy him one shot at it, but I don't think it's a great explanation for Ares. Then there's the massive hit, commercially if not critically, that was 2016's Suicide Squad. This is easily the most money-making movie in Leto's career, and I won't pretend that he wasn't a massive part of its marketing. He was all over those sleek, well-edited trailers, but did people actually like Leto's Joker? The lead up to the movie was endless stories about his obnoxious and gross acting process. Some of this stuff is disputed now, but it was all meant to suggest that, wow, this guy is taking this role so seriously, he's literally going crazy. Okay, fine, but what did that add up to? A boring Joker with none of the fun of Cesar Romero or Jack Nicholson, the humor and darkness of Ledger, or the interesting and offbeat choices of Joaquin Phoenix. He is easily the least memorable Joker, held up by gimmicks and over-the-top character design. I will give him Blade Runner 2049. Great movie, perfectly okay performance. He's not nearly as memorable as much smaller roles in that film, like Dave Bautista, but still, he didn't actively detract from it either. I understand how all these elements could land in Morbius. He's got that darker image that makes sense on the surface for the character. He's a name, and, it's not like Sony was making great choices when putting these things together. Fine. And he was already cast in Tron by the time the movie came out. But here's the thing, Morbius was so awful, and he was so awful in it, I really don't understand how they don't rethink that. Morbius is, to date, Jared Leto's most successful blockbuster with him in the starring role. It was a punchline on release, and for good reason, with the studio digging itself into an even deeper hole by trying to re-release it once the meme caught on, only for it to faceplant again. Now, some of that failure cannot be put at his feet. Like Madam Web after it, Morbius is a strangely constructed and edited movie, something that feels disjointed and stitched together in the editing room. But he is right there in the center of it, delivering a low-energy, bored performance that adds zero texture to a bad script, something he'd do again in Tron 3. Now, I understand it may have been too late to recast, but they had years of production on Ares after Morbius to try to do something. Evan Peters is in the movie, giving a far more committed and more interesting performance, and finding a way to center him in the film and its marketing may have helped it, at least a little bit. Because, let's be honest, the allegations against him that he denied last year, the weird cult leader persona that he leans into, and the rumors that have followed him around much longer than that, I just have no idea why you get this guy to lead your movie. Let alone a blockbuster that you expect to be a big, broad hit that people will want to take their families to. Next up, he's in the new He-Man live-action movie, Masters of the Universe, another franchise play that seems like a pretty big risk. And I think one of the biggest things that this movie has going for it in trailers is that as Skeletor, you can't see his face, which, might end up helping them. While I know he has his fans, I really see no evidence that he's more of a box office draw than someone actively dragging these movies down. And at least in Morbius and Tron, giving really boring and indifferent performances while doing it. There's so many great actors out there, both established and unknown, who do not get these huge lead roles, and I bet most of them would try a lot harder than he seems to be doing. Even in the movie he's best in, American Psycho, in my opinion, plays to his strengths of kind of feeling like a vain, empty suit. And the roles he goes really over the top for, like Joker, gives us performances that are big and bombastic, but don't have any of the depth you'd really want from them. Something made brutally clear with that character, since we have so many takes on the clown to compare him to. Is this all a little petty? Maybe. But I've seen so many promising actors and actresses turn in great work and never even get a shot at a starring vehicle. And almost all of them I would take over Leto. It just feels so baffling for a guy who consistently books roles in huge movies and then doesn't deliver. But what do you think? Am I underrating him as an actor? Are you as confused as I am why he keeps booking parts in big budget movies? I want to read all your takes down below. So I really like recommending courses on here that can be applicable to a lot of people, and Brilliant's Exploring Data Visually course is just that. No matter where you find yourself, being able to parse and understand information is going to be essential, and this one nails down the fundamentals like you won't find anywhere else. It's impressive stuff, and just the tip of the iceberg on Brilliant. An interactive learning app built around hands-on problem solving, where you're actively working through problems instead of passively watching lectures. lectures. You jump in, experiment, watch concepts click into place, and this kind of active learning has been shown to be up to 6 times more effective than just watching video content, while also letting you tailor how you want to learn. We all know building a habit every day is important for growth, and Brilliant makes that easier with engaging sessions, built-in progress tracking, and expert-designed courses from people at places like Stanford, MIT, and Google. You can pick it up anytime on your phone or computer, and it's been really impressive to see how the platform just keeps improving over time. To start learning on Brilliant free for a full 30 days, go to brilliant.org/midnight, scan the QR code on screen, or just click the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription, which unlocks unlimited daily access to everything Brilliant offers. That's brilliant.org/midnight.
Here's a special tip for the fellas and girls who have not already joined Captain Midnight's new 1940 Flight Patrol. You'd better hurry up and join at once because there's a big adventure ahead. The thing to do now is to get started because we're going to have not only barrels of fun, but loads of free gifts and prizes, too.